Ozempic is still all the rage in Hollywood, and people who used to be comically fat and use that as a selling point for their career as an entertainer are foregoing that because they secretly wanted to be skinny all along. I maintain that this podcast was one of the earliest people to talk about Ozempic and the impact this was going to have on Hollywood. And one of those character actors, I suppose, is Rebel Wilson, known for playing Fat Amy in Pitch Perfect. She lost her extra weight before Ozempic was really even in the conversation. But Amy Schumer has stood her ground through all of this. She is one of the conscientious objectors against Ozempic, and she recently posted this video clowning on the people who are claiming to be so happy on these weight loss injection drugs. Let's play this video. She looks terrible, by the way. Like, I know you can be Amy Schumer and like that's the bit, right? But like she looks bad even for Amy Schumer in this video.
I'm having deja vu right now.
Oh.
Like we've literally had this exact.
We talked about Amy Schumer during the Blue Origin segment, so maybe that's why.
There we go.
Hi, Amy here, having a good hair day, wanted to share. I just want to say again, I'm loving being on Mounjaro. Am I saying that right? Mounjaro. And I haven't found that it's affected anything. My meals are still very satisfying and they
Somebody needs a script. I'm sorry.
give me a lot of energy. Oh, full.
Here's where you actually find out why like people who create content for the internet now are their own brand of content creation, because she needs a script and an editor and all of these other things. Some regular fat person on Instagram is going to make a way funnier video about this.
That's true.
And it's going to be way more interesting.
Yeah, this one doesn't hit the same. But I just think, like, how can you hate from outside the club? I think that she's just coping and she's jealous of all the people who are shamelessly on Ozempic.
I mean, it's not like she couldn't afford it or find a doctor.
No, it's not that she can't afford it. It's about like maintaining her dignity in a way. She thinks that this is some kind of like stand that she's taking against the popular trend, you know?
Yeah.
One of the celebrities that people are saying has used Ozempic for weight loss is Lizzo.
It's kind of like Pamela Anderson. I will not wear makeup anymore.
Sort of, yeah.
I will go to this premiere with no makeup on and distract everybody and make it about me.
Exactly.
Because I'm a good person.
Or like, you know, women who get buzz cuts because, you know, being ugly is seen as virtuous now. But Lizzo is one of the celebrities accused of using Ozempic for weight loss. She claims otherwise, but with the speed of her transformation, it's hard to believe that. Here she is in a new selfie wearing a shirt that says insane body. She does look visibly smaller by far, actually. I don't know if she's continuing to lose weight or if she's happy where she's at now. But someone pointed out it's 2025 and Lizzo has a thigh gap.
Does that count as a thigh gap?
I would say no, but I'm not the thigh gap police.
I for some reason, I always imagine that thigh gap meant the legs didn't touch.
One person commented, them Spanx holding on for dear life. But yeah, you know, this is real. Like this is the society we live in.
I would rather draw attention to that ridiculously like impractical phone case she has. What the hell is that thing?
Yeah, it's like a Sailor Moon themed phone case.
Okay.
It's unmanageably huge. But yeah, Meghan Trainor is one of the celebrities who has not lied to her fans about using Ozempic. She's very open about it to the point where it's almost kind of disturbing. Like she's proud of using Ozempic. She also revealed on a recent podcast episode that she's going on this Ozempic journey with her husband, Daryl Sabara. They're both on Mounjaro. And they're saying it's their journey together.
I guess, like, I don't know if I ever watched him act as an adult. I only ever saw him act as a kid, and he was just kind of doughy.
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, that's
This is my favorite photo ever. He looks like it's Weekend at Bernie's and he's dead, and she's propped him up there.
yeah, yeah. He doesn't want to show his sallow eyes.
Yeah.
She said that they heard more and more from friends and doctors who were on Mounjaro and Ozempic, and they did the research. And then he says, "So I did it too." Then she says, "It's because Daryl and I both do everything together."
Even take their drugs together.
Yeah, it's a bonding experience.
So, like, what happens if they have to go on, like, chemo? Are they both going to take chemo?
Yeah, they
That's
do
not
everything.
good for
they
you
do
if you don't
everything
need it.
together.
Like,
You
okay.
know, like if you wouldn't do Ozempic with your spouse, are you really
Are you even
in
committed?
love? Like, yeah, are you really in it for the long haul?
Yep.
So yeah, they're on that journey together. But I've been learning more about Ozempic and its parent company that manufactures it, which is called Novo Nordisk, recently. And I learned that it's still banned in Europe,
Okay.
actually. There's a bigger market for it, understandably, in the US because we have higher rates of obesity in this country, but there are also just more Americans to go around and buy this drug. But it is telling, right, that the FDA is more concerned about people accessing black market imitation Ozempic than they are concerned about the safety of Ozempic to begin with.
I mean, they have the same concerns about, like, tainted opiates and stuff like that because of fentanyl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, despite the fact that opiates are also very, very dangerous. There's a 20 there.
Yeah, we have a 20 from Darkall 55. Ghost energy drinks taste so good.
They
Have
are.
you tried those?
They are. I mean, I've had those on this show, and I saw somebody else mention the Sour Patch flavors. Yeah, they are really good. But again, I don't like the way it makes me feel. It's too much sugar, too much caffeine. There's like a happy middle ground that I found.
I forgot the name of the person who was getting interviewed on Tucker's podcast last year about Ozempic, but you should go watch it if you're interested. He talked about why Ozempic is dangerous. It's not necessarily just because we have clinical studies on side effects. It's more so the fact that basically obesity is a health issue that's getting siloed away from all of its comorbidities.
Mm-hmm.
And you can treat just one siloed health issue without addressing the whole reason for it.
So they're saying that Ozempic is legal in Europe, but just only for diabetes.
Well, yeah, that was
Like,
how it was
it's not
in the
allowed
US
for
as well.
it's not allowed for off-label use.
That was how it was in the US until 2022.
Shortages. It's been in short supply in Europe due to high demand
Right.
and production. It's America taking
But
it all.
they will treat every symptom of obesity as a separate issue, basically. Like, they'll treat high blood pressure as its own issue and not encourage you to address
Make
the
lifestyle
whole issue.
changes, yeah.
That is more sales for big pharma. And also, even crazier, Novo Nordisk is funding the research. Basically, they're funding medical research at institutions like Harvard, for instance, into obesity.
Yeah.
So basically, the drug company that is selling you the magic pill for obesity is funding all the research into obesity.
I am sure there is no conflict of interest there.
That sounds totally normal. Yeah.
There's no conflict of interest
There's
there.
no way that could possibly go wrong.
No.
And also I learned that the NAACP is a registered lobbyist group for Novo Nordisk.
Okay.
And they claim that if you're against Ozempic, if you're critical of Ozempic, that's actually racist.
Because it disproportionately affects minority communities.
Obesity, yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So if you're
Okay.
critical of Ozempic for off-label use, you are racist. That is an example of structural racism.
I always suspected.
But yeah, this was a recent warning from the FDA. They warn consumers not to use counterfeit Ozempic or semaglutides found in the U.S. drug supply chain. I can't imagine what kind of galaxy gas they are selling on the Ozempic black market.
Yeah, it's because like when you're making
out.
the counterfeit opiates, you got the fentanyl that's cut in there improperly, and then you die. But this, it's like, what do you put in there?
I don't even know.
Like three hits,
crushed up diet
hits
pills.
of meth, like a half an Adderall, and a banana.
And sugar, spice, and everything nice, you know?
It's so weird too, because like you said, the doctors don't want to, they want to create lifelong patients.
Yes.
And it's hard to have those conversations about what needs to be done to change your life, because nowadays there's such a focus on the concept of inequity that if you're like, look, if you want to lose weight, you're going to need to get exercise and eat right. They're going to be like, but I can't afford to eat right, and I'm working all day slaving away for my capitalist masters. I can't afford to take time out and get exercise. That's actually an argument people make now.
Yeah, well,
there is no faith put in the argument of taking responsibility for your own actions. And it does end up being those with diabetes that suffer, because there were shortages and there were people that legitimately need the medication that couldn't get it.
Well, this is why Weight Watchers is reportedly about to file for bankruptcy, because their entire business model was about personal accountability and basically tracking your portion sizes and your calories. That's all it was.
I wonder if the people that make Ozempic should just buy Weight Watchers and keep it up and running.
They might.
Yeah.
That's actually like a rumor that might happen.
That makes
the parent
perfect
company
sense.
might buy it. But Oprah jumped ship and endorsed Ozempic. She was an ambassador for Weight Watchers for years, and then she decided suddenly that food noise is just something you're born with and you can't overcome it. You just can't. Now the best, okay, here's another holistic argument that people have against Ozempic, right? We should be targeting big food and big pharma, and we should be people who support like RFK and going after the artificial chemicals, preservatives, food dyes, etc., that are in all the food in the US, because European countries have way more restrictive regulations on food quality. Allegedly, that's one of the reasons why the US has such a high rate of obesity.
When people say, I went to this other country, I ate whatever I wanted, but I lost 10 pounds.
Right. But that also doesn't seem to follow for me. Oh, we have a 20 from Pop Culture Junkie. Pfizer ended development of weight loss pill danuglipron last week.
I want to be able to give them the names. I do.
Works like a GLP-1. A trial patient experienced potential drug-induced liver injury. Both Lilly and Novo are working on their own version.
I believe it. 110%.
Yeah.
These companies are always investing billions of dollars into research.
But I want to address the personal responsibility thing, because I don't think it is viable for a lot of people.
Okay.
In a society where realistically we're not going to have the highest quality food, unless there's a complete and total overhaul of the FDA, or maybe
which once it's gotten to the
FDA
point it's
gets
at
like
now,
abolished or something. Living in that reality and knowing that most people are not high in conscientiousness and they are surrounded by hyper palatable fake foods constantly at a low cost, there is no viable option for them to lose the weight. I realized that agency is not something that exists on a binary where some people have it and some people don't. Some people have more of it and some people have less of it to none of it. And it's sort of...
Can you explain that to me?
I think that agency is referred to like it's a trait that is just a human trait, like we all have it, you know? And I don't think that's true. In fact, I think that agency is probably a term we've come up with that combines a lot of different traits that you are either more or less prone to have genetically. And those include, conscientiousness, IQ, and, some people have a natural amount of wherewithal that others simply do not have. And
when I think
this is the state of affairs now.
When I think of agency, I think of culpability and responsibility. So I do think of it on the binary. Like, are you capable of looking after yourself? Do you pay your own bills? Are you able to function in society? If so, then you either have agency or you don't. Maybe I have an unsophisticated thought process on it. And it's not to say that I don't sympathize or even empathize with people who struggle with those types of things. I struggle with stuff like that as well. But that doesn't make me not responsible for my own actions. Maybe I'm perceiving agency differently.
What I'm saying is you're responsible insofar as you're responsible, basically. And some people have a higher capacity to make a major change in their lifestyle.
Well, I mean, there's the argument,
others.
right, that there's you see the people who change their lives, but usually it has to get real bad for that to happen. But that doesn't mean that the people who don't make the effort to change their lives don't have agency over their own actions.
Not always, no. But I think that, okay, I want to be clear. This is not even me making an argument in favor of Ozempic as a response to
I didn't think you
obesity. But it's the best argument for Ozempic that exists. The best argument that exists for Ozempic is that some people in society, perhaps even a majority, just do not have the conscientiousness and the wherewithal and the intelligence and basically self-governance to make the change and lose the weight the traditional way.
See, when I think of agency, I think of like, you also have the agency to make the choice to take the medication, but so far in is that you know what it can do, you know what the risks are, you know what comes with it, and if you so choose to do that, you are responsible for the consequences if it doesn't go the way you want it to. Like, you have the agency to say to myself, I can take the hard way, I can take the slightly easier way that has serious side effects if something goes wrong.
Okay.
And you as an adult, assuming that you're in control of your own faculties, are responsible to either do the research into both paths and decide which one works best for you. Now, you can look down on the person who chooses door number 2, but I'm not going to feel bad for them if they did the research, they understood what is possible, what could happen, and then the bad thing happens.
Well,
I guess we might just be perceiving agency differently.
What I'm saying is, like, the hypothetical person that you just referenced isn't really the average person. It takes actually like no agency whatsoever to just get prescribed a drug and take it because it's what you're told is the solution to the problem. We have another 20 from Pop Culture Junkie. Mary, where does your definition of agency land in the nature versus nurture argument? I think that it has to do with both. I think that I've known people who had an upbringing that didn't cultivate these traits. There are also people who I believe are born with a lower capacity for what we call agency, just genetically. And agency is this umbrella term for a lot of different factors that simplifies it, and it's too reductive.
That's because legally speaking, you're like, in the eyes of the law, you're an adult who can make your own choices.
I think that
you're thinking of it as a far less.
Think about the IQ spectrum, though. Like, think of agency the same way you think of intelligence.
Okay.
Some people have more and less.
Wouldn't it just be intelligent? Oh, okay. All right.
Basically.
I guess.
That's all. That's my view.
Maybe I'm just lower on the IQ spectrum, so I'm a dummy, and I'm like, I can't perceive it that way. I can't. Then it's like I have to look at everybody in the world that I talk to that way, when really most people would just really say, "Are you an adult? Make your own choices. Are you an adult? Accept the consequences of your actions."
The chick who found herself in Harvey Weinstein's bedroom.
You're an adult. You found yourself in Harvey Weinstein's bedroom. What he did to you was wrong.
That's a comforting thought, but it's not true. That's just my take. Everyone debate me.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.